Officer Derek Lawson's body cam captured the moment at 11:47 p.m. on March 14, 2024. A padlocked basement door in an ordinary suburban home. A wife's confession. A husband's calculated silence. What happened next unfolded quickly. Officer Chen drew her weapon and ordered both occupants to the ground. Lawson radioed for backup. The man, later identified as 48-year-old Gregory Walsh, an IT manager for a medical supply company, complied without resistance. His wife, Patricia Walsh, 46, was placed in handcuffs as a precaution. Lawson retrieved bolt cutters from his patrol vehicle. The padlock snapped. The basement door opened. The smell hit first. Human waste. Unwashed bodies. Stale air that hadn't circulated in months. Lawson descended the stairs, flashlight beam cutting through darkness. The basement had been converted. No windows. Soundproofing foam covered the walls. A single mattress on the floor. A bucket in the corner. Empty food containers stacked against the wall. And in the corner, huddled under a blanket, a teenage girl. She was rail thin, matted hair, wearing an oversized t-shirt and sweatpants. When the flashlight hit her face, she didn't scream or cry. She simply stared, eyes hollow, expression blank. "It's okay," Lawson said. "You're safe now. What's your name?" The girl's voice was barely a whisper. "Emma. Emma Caldwell." Emma Caldwell, 16 years old, reported missing from Toledo, Ohio on September 19, 2023, 178 days earlier. Her case had been featured on local news, shared thousands of times on social media. Age-progressed photos, family press conferences, a $25,000 reward for information. She'd been 11 miles away the entire time, in a basement in Westlake, Ohio, locked behind a padlock that cost $14.99 at Home Depot. Paramedics arrived within 8 minutes. Emma was transported to St. John Medical Center for evaluation. Severe malnutrition, dehydration, psychological trauma that would take years to process. She was admitted immediately. Her mother, Diana Caldwell, received the call at 12:34 a.m. "Your daughter is alive." She'd stopped believing those words were possible. September 19, 2023, started as an ordinary Wednesday for Emma Caldwell. She woke at 6:15 a.m. in her bedroom in Toledo, junior year of high school. Debate team, honor roll. She'd been excited that morning. The fall dance was 2 weeks away, and she'd finally convinced her mom to let her go. Emma left for school at 7:20 a.m., walking the same route she'd walked 100 times. 3 blocks to the bus stop on Summit Street. Her backpack held textbooks, a lunch her mom had packed, and her phone, charged to 87%. She never made it to the bus stop. Security cameras from a convenience store on Summit Street captured her walking south at 7:24 a.m. She was scrolling her phone, earbuds in, not paying attention to traffic. A silver Honda CR-V pulled alongside her. The driver's window lowered. Emma stopped, leaned toward the vehicle, appeared to be having a conversation. 30 seconds later, she opened the passenger door and got inside. The Honda drove away at 7:26 a.m. Emma's phone pinged a cell tower at 7:31 a.m. near Interstate 75. Then it went dark, powered off or destroyed. By 3:00 p.m., when Emma hadn't returned home from school, Diana Caldwell knew something was wrong. Emma always texted, always called. She tried Emma's phone 17 times. Every call went straight to voicemail. Diana called the school. Emma had never arrived. She called Emma's friends. No one had seen her. At 4:47 p.m., Diana called 911. Her daughter was missing. The investigation moved quickly. Toledo police pulled the convenience store footage within hours. They identified the Honda CR-V but couldn't capture the license plate. The angle was wrong. They canvassed Summit Street. One neighbor reported seeing a silver SUV around 7:30 a.m., but couldn't provide details. Emma's phone records showed the last ping near I-75. After that, nothing. For 6 months, the case consumed resources. Hundreds of tips, dozens of searches. Emma's face was everywhere. Billboards, social media, news broadcasts. Diana gave interviews, made pleas. Every lead went nowhere. What investigators didn't know, Emma had been transported directly to 2847 Birchwood Drive in Westlake, Ohio. Gregory Walsh had spent 3 weeks preparing. He'd soundproofed the basement, installed a padlock, stocked the space with bottled water, canned food, blankets. He'd been watching Emma for 2 months before he took her. He knew her route, her schedule, her tendency to walk with earbuds in, distracted by her phone. To Gregory Walsh, Emma wasn't a person. She was a project, something he'd been planning since his daughter moved out for college the previous year. His wife Patricia knew, had known from the beginning, and had helped him prepare. The soundproofing, the supplies, the story they'd tell if anyone asked about the padlocked door. For 178 days, Emma lived in that basement, 12 feet by 15 feet. No sunlight, no human contact except when Gregory brought food or Patricia collected the waste bucket. They told her she'd never be found, that her family had stopped looking, that fighting back was pointless. She believed them. The scene at 2847 Birchwood Drive was processed over 11 hours. Crime scene technicians documented every detail of the basement: measurements, photographs, evidence collection, the soundproofing foam, the makeshift toilet, the mattress Emma had been forced to sleep on for nearly 6 months. Officers found a notebook in Gregory Walsh's upstairs office, handwritten entries dating back to July 2023, plans for the abduction, observations of Emma's routine, notes on soundproofing techniques. The entries were methodical, detailed. He treated Emma's kidnapping like a project with timelines and logistics. Investigators pulled security footage from businesses along Emma's route to school. They found the silver Honda CR-V on multiple cameras in the weeks before September 19th. Gregory had been following her, timing her movements, identifying the best location to approach her. Cell tower records placed Gregory's phone near Summit Street in Toledo at 7:24 a.m. on September 19th, the exact time Emma disappeared. His phone then traveled west on I-75 toward Westlake. It pinged a tower near his home at 8:11 a.m. Patricia Walsh's phone showed the same pattern. A search of the Walsh home uncovered additional evidence: credit card receipts for soundproofing materials purchased in August 2023, Amazon orders for zip ties, padlocks, industrial cleaners, Google search history on Gregory's laptop, how to soundproof a room, how long can someone survive without sunlight, missing persons statistics. Digital forensics found deleted photos on Gregory's phone, images of Emma in the basement. Timestamps showed they'd been taken throughout her captivity. The photos were stored in a hidden folder labeled Project E. Neighbors were interviewed. Most described the Walshes as quiet, friendly, normal. No one had suspected anything. One neighbor mentioned hearing muffled sounds from the basement in late October, but assumed they were renovating. The noise complaint that brought officers to the house had come from a neighbor 3 doors down. The caller reported hearing yelling around 11:30 p.m., a woman's voice screaming, "Let me out," repeatedly. The caller couldn't identify which house it came from, but gave officers the address range. Later, evidence suggested Patricia Walsh had been arguing with Gregory that night. She'd wanted to release Emma or turn themselves in. Gregory had refused. The argument escalated. Patricia's screaming, not Emma's, had prompted the noise complaint. It was the first crack in 6 months of calculated silence. The case against Gregory and Patricia Walsh was built within 72 hours. Evidence from the basement, Gregory's notebook, cell phone records, digital forensics, witness statements from neighbors, Emma's testimony. Emma underwent 3 days of medical evaluation at St. John Medical Center. Physical injuries were documented: malnutrition, muscle atrophy, vitamin deficiencies. Psychological evaluation confirmed severe trauma, consistent with prolonged captivity. On March 17, 2024, 3 days after her rescue, Emma gave a formal statement to investigators. She described being approached by Gregory on Summit Street. He'd asked for directions, seemed friendly. When she leaned toward the car window, he'd shown her a photo of a lost dog, asked if she'd seen it. She'd gotten in the car to look at his phone more closely. He'd driven for 30 minutes. She'd realized something was wrong when he got on the interstate. She'd tried to open the door. It was locked. Child safety locks engaged. Patricia had been waiting at the house when they arrived. Together, they'd forced Emma into the basement. For 6 months, Emma had been fed once a day, allowed to shower once a week. In a utility sink in the basement, hands zip-tied, Patricia standing guard. She'd been given books to read, but no phone, no television, no contact with the outside world. She'd tried to escape twice in the first month. Both times, Gregory had caught her. After the second attempt, he'd told her he'd kill her family if she tried again. She'd believed him. The breakthrough had come from Patricia's conscience, or her self-preservation. On the night of March 14th, she told Gregory she couldn't continue. The guilt was destroying her. Gregory had refused to discuss it. They'd argued. Patricia had screamed loud enough for a neighbor to hear. When officers arrived for the noise complaint, Patricia made a choice. She could have stayed silent, could have backed up Gregory's story about the television. Instead, when Lawson asked about the basement, she saw a way out. She confessed, screamed for help, told officers someone was down there. Investigators never determined whether Patricia's confession was driven by genuine remorse or calculated self-interest. Her lawyer would later argue she'd been coerced by Gregory, that she'd wanted to help Emma but feared her husband. Prosecutors didn't buy it. Gregory Walsh and Patricia Walsh were arrested at the scene on March 14, 2024 at 11:52 p.m. Both were transported to Westlake Police Department for booking. Gregory Walsh, 48 years old, worked as an IT manager for Meridian Medical Supply. No prior criminal record. Married for 23 years. 2 adult children who lived out of state. Neighbors described him as polite, reserved, unremarkable. His interrogation lasted 8 hours. Detectives presented the evidence: the notebook, the cell phone records, the photos, Emma's testimony. Gregory said nothing. He invoked his right to an attorney within the first 15 minutes and never spoke again. Patricia Walsh, 46, was a part-time administrative assistant at a dental office. No prior criminal record. She'd grown up in Westlake, attended local schools, had no history of violence or criminal behavior. Her interrogation was different. She cried. She insisted she'd been afraid of Gregory, that he'd threatened her if she didn't comply. She claimed she'd wanted to help Emma, but didn't know how. She said she'd been planning to go to police but was waiting for the right moment. Detectives didn't believe her. Evidence from the basement showed Patricia's active participation. She'd purchased supplies. She'd guarded Emma during showers. She'd helped maintain the deception for 178 days. Both were charged with kidnapping, unlawful restraint, and child endangerment. Gregory faced additional charges: possession of child sexual abuse material related to the photos found on his phone. Bond was denied for both. They were held at Cuyahoga County Jail pending trial. Emma's family released a statement through their attorney. "We are grateful to the Westlake Police Department for bringing Emma home. Our focus now is on her recovery and healing. We ask for privacy during this difficult time." Diana Caldwell didn't give interviews, didn't appear on camera. She'd spent 6 months searching for her daughter. Now Emma was home. That was enough. Gregory Walsh went to trial in September 2024. The evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution presented the notebook, the photos, the soundproofing receipts, Emma's testimony. The defense argued Gregory suffered from mental illness, that he'd experienced a breakdown after his daughter left for college. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison without possibility of parole. He'll be 88 years old when eligible for release. Patricia Walsh accepted a plea deal. In exchange for her cooperation and testimony against Gregory, prosecutors reduced her charges. She pleaded guilty to kidnapping and unlawful restraint. The child endangerment charges were dropped. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison. She'll be eligible for parole in 8 years. The house at 2847 Birchwood Drive was sold at auction in December 2024. The basement was demolished. New owners gutted the entire property. Emma Caldwell returned to school in fall 2024. She's receiving ongoing therapy. She doesn't give interviews. Her family has established the Emma Caldwell Foundation, which provides resources for families of missing children. The neighbor who called in the noise complaint never came forward publicly. They don't know they saved Emma's life. Emma was missing for 178 days. She was 11 miles from home. A padlock that cost $14.99 kept her trapped. A noise complaint set her free.